the end of the DC animated movie universe, which lasted from either 2013 with Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox, or 2014's Justice League War, depending on which movie you consider the starting point of the new universe. Considering Flashpoint doesn't canonically link to any of the other DC animated movie universe's movies, we all know the universe came to an explosive end, literally, in May 2020 as Justice League Dark Apocalypse War ended the DC animated movie universe with its 7-year-long run with 50 movies to its name. Now there's no doubt that the DCAMU has had its ups and downs, some great movies such as Suicide Squad Hell to Pay and Teen Titans Children's Contract, the less good movies such as Batman Bad Blood and Batman Hush. There was no doubt that the DCAMU had overstayed its welcome as the movies became progressively worse. And basing an entire universe off of an already mixed New 52 universe was also a big gamble. The biggest problem with the movies was that it could never reach the heights of the previous DC animated movies, as Batman Under the Red Hood, Superman Batman Apocalypse, All-Star Superman, Green Lantern Emerald Knights, among many others. It was becoming evident that it had to start over, thus spawning the new Tomorrowverse continuity. And how is the Tomorrowverse doing at this moment in time? So far there have only been 4 Tomorrowverse movies, with Legion of Superheroes scheduled for February 7th, when Hogwarts Legacy comes out on 72-hour early access if you pre-ordered the deluxe edition, and Justice League Warworld yet to have a release date but is expected to release sometimes in 2023 for a total of 6 movies, if you don't count The Long Halloween Part 1 and 2 as 2 separate movies. So what we're going to do is first talk about the universe as a whole and how it has fared, and then we will be taking a look at the movies head to head, so the DC animated movie universe versus the Tomorrowverse in various categories such as critical and fan reception, its earnings if available, and overall how I just enjoyed them or didn't enjoy them, because one's own opinion is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. With that said, we only have 5 movies in each universe eligible, as only 5 movies have been released so far. I will also choose to start with Justice League War versus Superman Man of Tomorrow, as I feel like Flashpoint Paradox is its own thing, and I will elaborate further by saying that if Flashpoint and Justice League War were truly connected, then Batman and Flash would have known each other in Justice League War, but none of them have any recollection of each other. Comparison might not be completely fair, as the DCAMU had a lot of Batman solo movies in the beginning, and obviously it has had a huge head start. With that explained, let's start. Starting out with a solo movie to kick off the Tomorrowverse is perfect in my opinion. Whether if it was Batman or Superman doesn't really matter. I just feel like it makes way more sense than to start off with a League or team movie. The thing is, they also provided us with a great reason for as to why the Justice League was created with its second movie, Justice Society World War II. As in that movie, Barry runs back in time, fights alongside this society, gets inspired to create
a league of our own.
In Justice League War, they just kinda meet and start teaming up, and introducing the all-powerful Darkseid so early on was also a strange decision. I know it happened in the comics as well, I believe, but it was still a strange inclusion. Now I'm not saying that the Tomorrowverse isn't moving quickly, because it is. We're only 5 movies in, and on the 6th movie the Legion of Superheroes are going to be introduced. The 7th film will be a Justice League film subtitled Warworld, where they will presumably fight Mongul and maybe Mongal, who obviously made her debut in the James Gunn The Suicide Squad movie. She died a fairly stupid and pathetic death, considering she's an all-powerful alien being with superpowers. Now so far I don't believe the Justice League has been fully formed unless they do it in Green Lantern Beware My Power. I'm pretty sure Barry shows up at Batman's place in a mid-credit scene at the end of The Long Halloween Part 2, so by the time Justice League Warworld happens they might already have a full team. But how big is this Justice League going to be, because so far we have Superman, Martian Manhunter, Flash, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Vixen and Hawkgirl, with Supergirl coming soon, though I don't know if she's going to be a member of the Justice League, because she usually isn't. But those are the characters we have so far, unless I'm missing someone. I don't think we have seen Aquaman or Cyborg yet. Maybe they will choose to put Cyborg on the Teen Titans in this universe. It my calculations are right, the Tomorrowverse movies have made a collective $13.55 million, and there are only 5 movies in, including part 1 and 2. I don't know if Warner considers that good or not. It all depends on how much they spent on the budget. And considering they barely get marketed outside of YouTube with no release date, mind you, I think it's pretty good.
You are Wonder Woman.
Justice League War vs Superman Man of Tomorrow. I know I have criticized Rotten Tomatoes and other reviewing sites in the past, and I still will because I believe you should make your own opinion, but I do have to have a baseline, so that will be both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. On IMDb, Justice League War actually has pretty decent ratings, as it sits on a 7.2 out of 10 with a whopping 35k reviews. To me, that honestly doesn't seem that bad. That also means it edges out Superman Man of Tomorrow with a 0.8 of a score, as Man of Tomorrow only has a 6.4 out of 10 rating. Rotten Tomatoes critics seem to heavily lean towards Man of Tomorrow, as it has an outstanding 93% tomato meter compared to Justice League War's pathetic 57%. For some reason, audiences vibe a lot more to War than Man of Tomorrow with 79% compared to 68%. And I of course know we are comparing an ensemble movie to a solo movie. I would say 1 point to Tomorrow. Justice League War earned $5.7 million from domestic video sales, which is actually very respectable compared to other DC animated movies. I mean, it's nothing compared to Flashpoint Paradox, which made an insane $33.5 million in home video sales. Even the critically acclaimed Batman Under the Red Hood only, and I say only very lightly, made $12 million in DHV sales. I don't know if this is the new standard for home video sales for DC movies at this moment in time, but Man of Tomorrow made $3.2 million from DHV sales. I'm not even going to lie, I don't have a great recollection of either movie, but I'm of the opinion that War is a pretty good movie, and the back and forth between Green Lantern and Batman is a clash of epic proportions. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The videos and shorts have garnered millions of views. Man of Tomorrow is a big departure from the New 52 inspired DCAMU, not only in art style but also in character portrayals. The new Superman is more likable than the other almost emo bad boy Superman. While both movies are good in my opinion, I would say from memory that Justice League War is probably the movie I would go with, but I can't deny that they made an absolute joke out of Green Lantern Hal Jordan, and I would have to say that the writing for Man of Tomorrow is probably better, but I'm still giving a point to Justice League War. Son of Batman vs Justice Society World War II. Son of Batman stars Jason O'Mara, Criminal Minds' very own Thomas Gibson, Giancarlo Esposito from Far Cry 6, and some weird show called Better Call Saul, and DC and Marvel's Morena Baccarin, who of course featured in Gotham and Deadpool. Son of Batman doesn't actually have as bad reviews as maybe I thought it did, considering what the YouTube comments are saying. Son of Batman has a 6.7 on IMDb and a 60.4% tomato meter and 72% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Justice Society World War II has a 6.4 on IMDb, which is honestly pretty low. I would have thought it would be a little bit higher. On Rotten Tomatoes, the reviews are pretty decent. Critics and audiences are on the same wavelength with a 76 and a 74. There's not much to separate these movies, but I can't give a tie, so I will probably give the point to the Tomorrowverse. Batman will always be a money-making machine unless you put him in a suit with nipples featuring Robin and Batgirl with a braided Bane. Son of Batman earned a very impressive $6.9 million from DHV sales, which is very good for a straight-to-video animated movie. So far the Tomorrowverse is behind in earnings, but Justice Society did make more money than Man of Tomorrow. It made $3.6 million, which is $4 million up from the previous movie. But just because it made more money than the previous movie doesn't mean it can get a point. So I'm gonna have to give the point to the DCAMU. I'm pretty sure Damian Wayne is one of the most controversial comic book characters created in recent memory. It's either you love him or you hate him. There seems to be no in between. Maybe these days people have come around to the character, but I remember when Son of Batman came out, people just did not like his attitude. Considering his childhood, I completely understand why he acts the way he does, but he is undeniably rude, but I don't think Ra's al Ghul or Talia would bother to teach him manners, as they are busy running an evil society of assassins. But I'm one of those people who really like Damian Wayne. It also forces Batman to deal with consequences of pregnancy. I know he was assaulted, which has since been retconned, I believe, but it still forces him to take care of a child in which he has no connection with other than being his biological offspring. Remember all the other Robins he adopted, which basically means he chose to take them in, but Damian came out of nowhere and was forced on him. So we had to learn to take care of him and love him. I might be biased because I just really like anything Batman, but I very much like the DCAMU Batman movies. It was cool to see DC explore superhero teams outside of Justice League Dark, Young Justice and Teen Titans. They obviously threw in some familiar faces such as Wonder Woman and Barry Allen, and even Aquaman, who wasn't of course part of the team, to most likely inflate its marketing. But Justice Society is a very good movie, and I really loved Black Canary in this movie. But Batman is Batman. 1 point to the DCAMU. Justice League Throne of Atlantis vs Batman The Long Halloween Part 1. Throne of Atlantis really stands no chance against The Long Halloween Part 1. I mean, The Long Halloween is a beloved Batman story from the comics. I don't think Throne of Atlantis, which is in itself an adaptation from a New 52 arc. On IMDb, Throne of Atlantis has a rating of 6.6, which is not terrible. The Long Halloween, on the other hand, has a rating of 7.2. On Rotten Tomatoes, Throne of Atlantis stands no chance. It has 63% in both ratings, while The Long Halloween Part 1 somehow has 100% and 88% audience score. It's undeniably a good movie, but 100% is not what I would have imagined. And it is based on 20 reviews as well, so the Tomorrowverse just takes this easily. As of October 2021, Throne of Atlantis has earned 4.6 million in DHV sales. As of 2023, I would have maybe suspected that the numbers is a little closer to maybe 4.8 million, but that is not a whole lot more. The Long Halloween has made about 3.6 million already, which means Throne of Atlantis is going to have to take the point. Obviously, Throne of Atlantis has been out for 8 years, so it has a huge advantage. 1 point to the DCAMU. I just found out that The Long Halloween Part 1 was supposed to kick off the Tomorrowverse, but was delayed due to the release of Matt Reeves' The Batman. You only didn't know that The Long Halloween is going to take the point here. Was there ever really a choice? As I mentioned before, The Long Halloween is adapted from a beloved classic Batman story and is adapted really well in this movie. Batman takes an easy victory here. 1 point to the Tomorrowverse. Batman vs Robin vs Batman The Long Halloween Part 2. It's time for the clash of the titans. We have two Batman movies going head to head. Batman vs Robin adapts one of, if not the most beloved New 52 arc, The Court of Owls. To me, it's one of my favorite comic book arcs and just stories in general. The concept of the court just intrigues me greatly. Both movies have a perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is surprising to me, especially Batman vs Robin, which, if you read YouTube comments, is the worst thing to ever be created. On the audience side, The Long Halloween Part 2 takes the crown with a rating of 81% to Batman vs Robin's 78%. On IMDb, they don't seem to be as beloved, with both movies sitting on a 7.1 out of 10. By virtue of The Long Halloween having 81% to Batman vs Robin's 78%, there can only be one winner by almost technical knockout. The Long Halloween takes this one. 1 point to the Tomorrowverse. Batman vs Robin released back in 2015 and made 4.2 million in DHV sales. The Long Halloween Part 2 made 2.5 million in DHV sales, but was only released in 2021, only a month apart from Part 1. The DCAMU takes a point. Out of all the New 52 DCAMU movies, Batman vs Robin has and will always be my favorite movie. As I said, I just love The Court of Owls and everything about it. Well, mostly. I haven't played Gotham Knights outside of a 1 hour trial, which was way too short, but I do want to play that game at some point. I know the game has gotten mixed reviews, but I know it features The Court of Owls. That means it is automatically worth playing. On a discount, that is. 1 point to the DCAMU. Batman Bad Blood vs Green Lantern Beware My Power. Now, I don't know if Warner Brothers has paid these Rotten Tomato critics, because somehow Batman Bad Blood has a 100% tomato meter, which is just insane to me. Surely these numbers are inflated, because there's no way any of these people have actually watched the movie. I think the audience score of 64% is more befitting of this movie. IMDb also seems to be on the right track with a rating of 6.7, but even that score might be too high. Don't get me wrong, I love aspects of the movie such as including Batwoman, but overall what they did to Talia and Batman is just straight up horrible. I kinda weaved my own opinion into this. People on Twitter were so excited when the trailer for Green Lantern Beware My Power released online. Finally, Jon Stewart gets his own movie, and featuring Green Arrow no less. This was supposed to be the movie, but it seemed just to fall flat. I have not seen the movie, mind you, so I cannot make a judgment for myself. It also seems to have Hawkgirl in a pretty prominent role, which we haven't seen, I believe, since Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. It has abysmal ratings, Rotten Tomatoes 56% and 50%, which is the lowest to date, I believe, and on IMDb it has a 6.1 out of 10. Apparently the story tries to go through some of the biggest Green Lantern storylines but rushes through them. Understandable when trying to fit everything into a 1.5 hour movie, but a stupid decision nonetheless because it should have been expanded over multiple movies. 1 point to the DCAMU. Bad Blood, despite having a mid-movie, made 4.8 million in DHV sales, which is more than his previous movie. Beware My Power though only released in July 2022, but it has only made 658,000 from DHV sales, which means it's probably flopped both critically and commercially. Bad Blood is going to have to take this one, I'm afraid. Considering I haven't seen Beware My Power yet, I can't really make my own conclusion. I'm probably going to watch it after this video, to be honest, and you have already heard my opinion on Bad Blood, so I guess I can't really give a point here. Now that all the rounds are finished, let's take a look at the overall scores. I have a suspicion that the DCAMU is going to blow the Tomorrowverse out of the water. I think it will pull some points back in my own opinions, but it's definitely losing in earnings, considering. Now let's count them. The Tomorrowverse scored a total of 5 points, and the DCAMU scores a total of 9 points. With Beware My Power in the running, the Tomorrowverse might have scored a total of 6 points, or perhaps the DCAMU might have gotten the point and went into double digits. There were a total of 15 points up for grabs, with one being ineligible for a final 14 points, but honestly the Tomorrowverse scoring 5 points versus DCAMU's 9 points isn't horrible. Given the time the DCAMU movies have had to accumulate its money, it is very impressive. If you take a look at these movies in 6 to 8 years, I'm sure that the scores are going to be very different. Thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate the support. I would very much like to focus a lot more on DC content as a whole, like animated movies, DC live action movies, perhaps dipping my toes into the character origins again, as well as some Marvel, Star Wars, and some games related to superheroes and Hogwarts Legacy, which I would like to play on this channel. Again, thank you so much for the support. A like would be greatly appreciated as it helps out the channel. Thank you again. Goodbye.